Welcome back, and it's going to be a special pleasure for me to talk with our next guest this morning. He's the man who once lamented that the ship was sinking, and rather than being the boy who stood on the burning deck, he decided, you know what, maybe I'll just become an officer and kind of help them run things. So let's say good morning to Winston Peters. We know him as the Gypsy. He's the culture minister in Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Very pleasant. Good morning.
All right. And he's accompanied by Marlon DeBeek, who is a cultural program coordinator in the ministry. Good morning, Marlon. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. All right.
Good morning.
We are here to talk about something called Decades of Dance. So which one of you want to jump in and give us a background to that?
I can allow Marlon to speak because he's the coordinator for this.
Sure.
It's fine.
Decades of Dance, Dance Festival 2011 is the first dance festival that Trinidad is having through the Ministry of the Arts and Multiculturalism, and we're doing it in partnership with the National Dance Association of Trinidad and Tobago. What is pretty significant about this festival is that we have participation from a couple companies in the region, and we have Dance in Africa and Of Another Nature from Barbados. Yes. So we're really excited about that. We know that the two groups have been preparing very hard, and we're quite excited about preparing our festival for them. The groups in Trinidad also are working very hard to come up to scratch, and so we have concerts that will be of a very high standard. Yeah, so we're really excited about that.
All right, before we talk a little bit more of the dance festival, let's look at the ministry, since we have the minister here. First of all, the name is very interesting. Arts and
multiculturalism.
Yeah, give us
multiculturalism, because Trinidad and Tobago has a diverse cultural existence. We have a multiracial society, a multicultural society, and so we have to find common ground in every way to ensure that the equity is distributed in a certain way, and we don't have any discrimination, as it were, in the distribution of the ledgers of the country. And hence the Ministry of Multiculturalism instead of just culture. You see, if you had a singular society, you could have in fact have that kind of thing, but because of our makeup, it was first practiced in or legislated in Canada, and we have adopted that same model because of the diverse cultural experience we have.
And let's look now at the fact that you have a festival and you're including countries from outside, from the region. It's not the first time, because of course, the Power Party Monarch.
Of course,
is open.
of course.
But is this what the area that you're going to?
Well, I think, no, as a Caribbean people, I think we are one people really. Just these waters that divide us, but we are one people in the Caribbean. I wrote a song about that many years ago, One Caribbean. And the thing about it is that we want to have an inclusion of all the peoples of the Caribbean as much as we can. And so when we thought about having the Decades of Dance, because dance in the Caribbean is a very significant and integral part of our whole entertainment experience. But somewhere along the line, I think that we are losing the interest for one reason or another. So the ministry's thrust is to ensure that we try to bring that back. But not only in Trinidad and Tobago, because you must remember the late Rex Nettleford, and we still have a whole lot of other people out of the Caribbean who are very pronounced and very professional dancers, renowned in their way. And now we are trying to bring that back. So since we are having the Decades of Dance celebration in Trinidad, Trinidad is a place that also produces a lot of great dancers. And now we are over the last couple of decades, we're not producing any of renown. So we are trying to bring dance back into the whole Caribbean.
I think your background in the industry, in the music industry, gives you a special kind of angle on culture, because you've been in it, so you understand. So maybe you can tell us about some of the other things you're trying to bring to that, having had the actual experience of being in the performing arts.
Well, what we are trying to do in the whole thing is to revitalize, as it were, the whole aspect of our cultural experience, because there's so much that we are losing. Take for instance the art form of calypso as we know it. It is something that is worth holding on to As a matter of fact, I can tell you that people are really reverting back to singing the regular type of calypso. And I wanted to draw on country music. It matters not how much country music changes. There is the traditional bluegrass and country music that would never change. And so in the Caribbean, we have had our music metamorphosized, if you want to call it that, but the fact remains is that there is a grounding. And what we are doing in our ministry is we have programs through TUCO, like this month, TUCO in Trinidad and Tobago. TUCO is the Trinbago Unified Calypsonians organization. And they're celebrating Calypso Month. We are, and the ministry is playing an integral role in that, is to ensure that the art form of Calypso, just like what we are doing with dance, the art form of Calypso remain. In Trinidad and Tobago, since I got in there, one of my main objective was to ensure that Carnival, because Carnival is integral to Trinidad and indeed the Caribbean. Trinidad, I hope you don't mind me saying with all due respect to Crop Over, is really the mecca of Carnival in the Caribbean and indeed maybe the world, because Brazil have one type of Carnival, but when you look at Trinidad, you would find a different type of thing there. And our drive is to bring Carnival back up to that standard where people would be playing mass again and not just emulating Brazil. So we have, at the ministry, we have instituted certain guidelines by which we are trying to get the mass fraternity to follow. So we are driving that. So these are just some of the things that we are doing. We are making the Savannah, the Trinidad and Tobago, Queen's Park Savannah. We are making the Savannah like it should be, the mecca of Carnival. It's going to be a Carnival village. Yeah. So what is going to happen there is that not just on Carnival days, but throughout the year, you know, like you go to Baxter's Road or you go or that kind of thing where you could find that.
So and it is already a traditional meeting place for
Trinidad. Basically. So what we are trying to do is to in some ways to beef that up and to make sure that we generate that kind of, you know, that kind of interest in the whole cultural space.
You spoke about grounding and, you know, going back to your roots, and this year it was with some pleasure that you saw a young person come out and win the Calypso Monarch competition. Yeah. But the youth, are they still into dancing? You know, somewhere along the line, we sort of, like you said, straight away, and maybe we hadn't produced the great dancers. But are you getting the youth back?
Yes, a lot of youth still involved in dance. You'd find popular programs that happen abroad. The young people are involved in that, hip-hop and dancehall and so on. It's a popular thing. We have some underground work happening with that, but there's also the mainstream work.
But let's go back. Incorporate that
exactly, because the festival, in the festival, there's a hip-hop fest, which is like a fringe festival inside the festival. There's a one-day event where it has some competitions and so on. And we've had a lot of hip-hop groups, you know, being interested in getting other groups, rallying groups to come together, and that's happening at NALIS, which is the National Library in Port of Spain.
So you're telling us that within the festival, there's going to be a sort of fringe that is going to kind of bring in what the youth are into.
Yes, because the festival runs from the 9th to the 15th of October, which is next week. Yeah. Yes, which is next week. So we have a formal opening, a launch on the 9th, which is Sunday, and then the Monday there's a symposium. But just tying into what the ministers mentioned about the Caribbean, because you also have a company from Jamaica performing, Lacadco, and that is headed by Dr. Lantoinette Steins. And what she has done, Lantoinette Steins has worked throughout the Caribbean. She's worked in Trinidad, she's worked with people like Beryl McBurney and Jeff Henry, very much, of course, with Rex Nettleford. And she's currently in Barbados doing some work. I believe she's lecturing or presenting concerning dance and education. So the youth is very much involved in the festival. Through workshops, the intention with the workshops is to exchange ideas about dance in the Caribbean. So we're pretty much interested in learning about the landship, which is the national dance of Barbados, and also the dances that come from Jamaica, and sharing what we have in Trinidad and Tobago with the dancers that visit as well. So they'll learn about ballet, and there's different ballets in Trinidad. There's one that's practiced in Trinidad, and there's one that's practiced in Tobago. Two totally different styles. They learn about East Indian classical dance, East Indian folk dance, and some of our other folk styles. And because the festival presents a wide range of dance styles. So you get classical ballet, East Indian classical dance, you get African dance, you get contemporary dance, and modern dance being presented in the festival. So it's a really broad range of dance styles.
Are you going to give a lot of focus to discipline as well? Because one of the things I noticed was technique, and that's often what I hear from some of the dancers who've been around for a while. They say sometimes the new dancers are, yes, they're eager, but they're not patient and disciplined enough to focus on the technique so that they can do whatever and be as well-rounded as possible.
Yes, and the technique is quite essential because what you would find in any dance form, any dance teacher would tell you that the classical ballet forms and ballet techniques are essential to all dance styles. So even the classics are essential to all dance styles, you know.
More than that, we have to stress on discipline. Because I can tell you that without discipline in anything, you're going to get absolutely nowhere. You could be the best that you are in anything, but if you don't have the discipline and the stick-to-itiveness, you're not going to get anywhere. And I think that this is what these workshops that we are doing would inculcate in the young people. We have a lot of interest from young people, and this is going to inculcate that in them. We are going to hammer that in.
What's your presence like, though? I'm curious about that. And then I'm going back to, I'm forgetting the minister part. Of course, you'll be in your role as minister, but what is it? Do you get a chance to interact with some of these young people, you know, as the man who understands the arena of
entertainment? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I'm the oldest young man it have in the world. All these young people tend to think that I'm young like them. For one reason or the other, young people are really drawn to me, so they kind of listen to what I say and that kind of thing. So yes, a whole lot of them.
That's an interesting concept there, because we were hearing Beryl McBurney, and you know, we talk about staying grounded, but one of the ways we can ensure that that happens is by having the masters, the teachers, interact with the young people. So is the festival going to have a lot of that?
Yes. Sure. Yeah, because the festival actually has Beryl McBurney as the mother. She is the mother of dance as concerned in Trinidad and Tobago, and we have her almost as a sort of spiritual center of the festival. You know, the National Dance Association, they're very much interested in preserving folk dance, and that is folk dance across the board in any sort of style or any sort of ethnic folk dance. So you would find that students or participants in the festival would be exposed to the masters that exist right now. Right, Imelda Lynch-Griffith, who is the president of the National Dance Association, she has worked extensively in folk dance, and in particular the ballet, studying ballet locally and ballets that are practiced across the region. Jean Coggins, who is like the queen of ballet in Trinidad, she's passed now, was her mentor. So that sort of information and those ideas are expected to be passed on to the younger ones. Because sometimes when she talks about the dance, as you said, you don't hold the dress like this or the skirt like this, you hold it like this. Because the subtleties are what make the difference in the dance styles.
Authentic.
Exactly. So
Mr.
it's
Minister,
very important.
Before we wrap up, any possibilities of something like this happening for your art form?
Well, it's in my art form, it's been happening all the time. Remember that we have carnival, we have other workshops that we do. Like I said,
but I mean one that goes out to the region and say coming in and with us.
The truth be told, it's not on the drawing board, but it's an idea. And that's what discussions are all about. I'm supposed to meet with my counterpart sometime today, I think, and when we get together, we could discuss that and see where we go.
Is it safe to say, though, that this is a sign then of things to come, that people are starting to take the arts seriously and treating it as another profession and not just a vocation?
Well, I mean, with all due respect, I don't think that there was a time when people didn't take the arts seriously. I mean, there are people, there are persons who didn't, but in the main, people who are artisans they really take it seriously. And you would always find that. You'll always find dropouts in anything that you do. You'll always find people who are not, they don't think that this is significant. They do it as a hobby. They do it by the way, but they always find serious people. So the arts, as far as I'm concerned, has always been taken seriously. If it wasn't, I wasn't going to be here today as your minister, as the Minister of Arts and Multiculturalism in Trinidad.
So you're missing the cut and thrust, though?
Sometimes, but because I'm administering it makes it a little easier.
It makes up for it.
Makes it a little easier.
Still might have to defend this. All right, gentlemen. Of course, the Decades of Dance runs from next Monday. Is it?
Yeah.
All right, in Trinidad and Tobago.
15, yes.
And if you have the time and you want to go down, you
Yes,
know.
Well, we are
encourage
encouraging you to come to Trinidad and Tobago. Come.
Right.
Come.
When you come in.